quick moment here. I do have a university web page on which I advertise the drop-in musicology programs, and also have links to the handouts, which I'll speak about. Let's see. This was the first one I did. One a month for 3 months. Database, online Mozart, and internet-only journals. Summer semester, I'm not sure when this was. Okay, this was recent. Classical recording and scores database, videos of conductors, talk about EndNote. Which one is this? I looked at a series of avant-garde music magazines, conductor videos. There's a story here. Anyhow, these would all have flyers and so forth. Descriptions. My topics so far comprise, well, I won't go through them all. I'll go through some of them, and I brought some of the materials. Usually I try to have a mix of things I do on the computer, things I write on the board, and things I actually pass out, because I'm real committed to actually people still using, going to a shelf and picking up a real physical item instead of a virtual item. I have strong feelings about electronic sources and how they often disappear just when you need them. One, test drive the RIPM database. RIPM RIPM, as it's known to musicologists and music librarians, is a retrospective index to music periodicals 1800 to 1950. This resource, this index, has been around for several years, but it was new for us here at GMU. I lined up a 30-day trial subscription, which has now become a regular subscription, thankfully, and demonstrated the use of this superb resource that indexes 19th century music journals and magazines. And as I mentioned, and as much as I never want to forget real physical print resources, I also did a show and tell on Dwight's Journal of Music, which is a reprint set that I had obtained on the out-of-print market. I brought there about this journal existed. John Sullivan Dwight, a proper Bostonian aristocratic music pundit, created this journal and edited it, ran it for 30 years. So it's not the first American music journal by a long shot, but the first one to have legs, to have shelf life, to last for a long time. Very influential, published from 1853 to 1880, I believe, approximately 30 years, and then reprinted in its entirety in 1967 because it constitutes such a marvelous primary source in American music. Well, I purchased, as I mentioned, on the used market, an entire run of this. Some library somewhere had discarded. How could they? But it's kind of useless without an index. There was an index printed to this. RIPM is online, but RIPM also originally published print indexes. There's a 6-volume index to 30 volumes of this that's been out of print for years. So at the very least, this RIPM subscription allows us to identify articles in that particular journal. Maybe I can search this. The index handles citations to about 120 journals in a dozen languages. And this was a list of the ones in English as of last fall. There are now more. There are many more titles that you see there. Databases. Retrospective index to music periodicals, 1800 to 1950. And do a search. Because repeat what we really want. I can do a search. I'm going to search for Louis Moreau Gottschalk, an American virtuoso pianist of the mid-19th century. Studied in France, came back to the United States, concertized widely, fairly well-known, significant figure in American music history at the time. And I'm going to do a limit here, since I don't want to search those 120 journals in many languages. I'm going to limit it to Dwight's. So there should be a place here where I can set limits. Journal name, instrument music. Now I can just search for the term Gottschalk. This will find the occurrence of that name 53 times, most of which are my guy, Louis Moreau Gottschalk, and a handful of these are other people whose name is Gottschalk. And this particular journal will then give me 53 pages. Say, for example,
see that.
All from Dwight's Journal of Music. This is from volume 4, number 7, 1853. Apparently a review of a performance. This one also a review of many American performing artists, including Gottschalk. Here's a reprint of, and a translation of an article from the Italian journal, reprinted. So all of these things are available on the shelf, and it's merely a matter of jumping in. Unfortunately, it doesn't give an abstract, but here's a pretty good keyword search here. We could actually then go in and find every one of those particular articles in Dwight's journal. And maybe I'll just, in the interest of having things going around the room, if you'd like to take a look at what Dwight's Journal of Music from 1853 to 1880 is all about. For this also included, this is very exciting, the future. Although RIPIM started as print indexes, they moved to CD-ROMs when that became the mode de rigueur, and now it's an online source of citations. For the last 2 years, they've won several grants and have been busily scanning all of this content from the original journals, and they expect to roll out full-text searchable scans of all of their 120, it'll be 150 journals by the time they're done, and have that available. They figure they're going to roll out half of it next January and then add content every quarter. So we will no longer need the on-the-shelf copy of Dwight's journal. We'll have access to it online and through the scans, as well as several other journals in many different languages. So we're all look forward to that. I hope it actually happens. Sometimes these projects take much longer than their planners envisioned. Okay, navigating the online open access Mozart score series. This was a topic. I discussed and demonstrated this project, which is, I think, a truly spectacular fulfillment of the promise of the World Wide Web. Digital Mozart edition, produced by the International Mozart Foundation, purchased digitization rights from the music publisher Barenreiter, with a substantial grant from USA's Packard Humanities Institute. And again, desiring to maintain a connection between things you find online and actual print volumes that you have on the shelf. When I did this program, I had also selected some volumes of the Neue Mozart Ausgabe, the new Mozart edition of collected works, passed them around, and then also I discussed composers' collected